Awesome. So, Alisha, let's go ahead and get started. Why don't we begin by you just going ahead and just giving a general introduction to our listeners tonight?
Well, good evening, everyone. And hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share just a little of what I do with your positive and conscious group who are learning how to work it. My name is Alisha Jones. I hail from Washington, D.C. I am from D.C. proper, Northeast D.C., not outside, not suburbia, but D.C. I'm a product of the D.C. public schools. I went to an arts high school, went on to conservatory, then divinity school, and I now attend the University of Chicago. And my large interests are in trying to collaborate with people like you, Jackie, who really want to do something of quality, who really want to see change, and who really know that it takes more than just ourselves. It takes us doing things in community to get the job done.
Absolutely. And I want to say to all of our callers who are listening in tonight, Alisha, I don't use the word friend very, very loosely. And so when I call somebody more than a friend, I really am saying something. And Alisha is in that realm and in that category for me. And it speaks chiefly to how she utilizes her life. And it kind of lends itself to how, Alisha, I have watched you over the course of, I think we had the pleasure of meeting each other about 2.5 years ago now. Can you stand it?
3.
Yeah, it's coming up over. Yeah, I think it's been about 3 years. And the value that you have added to the faith community that we share, the value that you have added to the University of Chicago, and really the value that you have added that I've not witnessed but have felt through a conference that you and your sister produced called The Genius of Men is just the most mind-blowing concept that I have ever read about or seen ever. And I would like you to spend some time talking to our listeners tonight about what the Genius of Men is and what is the Insight Initiative, which is your not-for-profit organization that you co-founded with your sister.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Well, I'll start by talking about Insight Initiative. As you know, but I'll share with our guest tonight. Insight Initiative is a nonprofit that's based on Proverbs 4, 5 through 7. For those of you who may be Christians and who are believers, it's a really core principle to what we do. If I could share that passage with you from the New Revised Standard Version, it's get wisdom, get insight. Do not forget and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. And so Insight Initiative is really a declaration that we're going to try and figure out, pursue the inner workings of the social issues around us, using the tools found in faith, art, direct action, and social justice. We utilize our personal networks and our extended networks to think together about how we can innovatively answer the issues that we see, and then do enduring works, do enduring projects, sustainable projects that will be left for our children's children. One of the initiatives that we have at Insight is the Genius for Men conference that you mentioned. We believe that genius is all around us, and that it is our jobs as leaders to teach our young people, to teach ourselves what genius looks like. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we had, I think the show was Entertainment Tonight. Was that the name of it?
E.T., yes.
Yes.
That was one.
Right. And every time they showed a genius, he didn't look like me. It was a guy, it was a little boy who was 5 years old, red hair, glasses, freckles, not the guys that I saw in my neighborhood. And I began to think about, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, how we came upon the idea, but we began to think about what does genius look like for people like us, African Americans, who are trying to do extraordinary things with perhaps not as much resources. And so at the Genius for Men conference, we bring together regular folk with decision makers of your civic organizations and artists, and we try and show young leaders between the ages of 18 to 35 what genius can look like. It could be a man who has taken his savings to do a youth program for after school, or it could be acknowledging the work of neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson, which we had the opportunity to honor both sorts of men. We do this as women seeking to acknowledge the brotherhood of men, seeking to acknowledge the men who are excelling in our community, and then also because we're so used to seeing geniuses who are awkward, we want to talk about the guys that are actually folks you want to be around, who are accessible.
Awesome.
And so I'm excited about it.
This is phenomenal. I have never went through a period in my life where I didn't love men. So that's why I really applauded the Genius for Men conference. Okay.
I understand.
And I think, I say it from a myriad of reasons. My personal testimony, blessed to be an only grandchild as well as an only child and be surrounded by the love of black men all my life, so I don't know any different. You understand where I'm coming from a psychological and spiritual perspective? So, and I recognize that within our communities that may or may not be a foreign concept for a lot of people to embrace within our own cultural context. And so what I applaud with regard to the Genius of Men conference is that it goes beyond the typical and into the true genius. The typical things that we see are relationship conferences. And we want to be clear that this is about one word that you said that I want to echo for our listeners is your organization and your initiatives are about sustaining and enduring context that we can take with us and carry with us to essentially advance our culture or bring our culture back to that place of excellence that we once embraced.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest motivations for us going ahead and doing this sort of program as women, allies with men issues was I thought about the violence that was happening in Chicago when I first moved here. And I thought about the urgency, the sort of death and terror that was looming in the air. I don't know if you remember, especially 3 years ago, there was back-to-back deaths in schools, in the streets, around the schools. And I really thought, what if I were to have what I call a man-child at this time? Would the world be safe enough for him? And for me, I want to create a program where I can train now folks to be able to receive the child that I hope to have. Not only my son, but my daughter, that she will be able to recognize a good man, an intelligent man, a thoughtful man when she sees him. So it goes both ways.